Bueno, ¿qué pasa, chavales? ¿Cómo estamos esta tarde? Bueno, vamos a ver algo que a mí me gusta ver, y es ver cómo interpretan otros traders institucionales o que utilizan el Smart Money Concept, cómo interpretan ellos la liquidez, porque hasta ahora todos entendemos una liquidez muy sencilla, pues puede ser los Candyland, los altos iguales, los bajos iguales, pero sobre todo últimamente yo estoy centrándome mucho en los liquidity pool. Me gusta ver cuando toman la liquidez de un viejo bajo, de un viejo alto, y quiero ver cómo otros traders lo interpretan y cómo podemos aprovecharlo, ¿no? Y especialmente también la liquidez que hay dentro de los rangos internos a los rangos externos. Creo que es muy interesante verlo, sobre todo cuando alcanzan un POI y cuando hacen nuevos bajos, en qué punto, en qué nuevo bajo va ese precio a revertir, o qué señal de reversión podemos nosotros tomar pues para operar a favor de la tendencia o de la estructura, o en contra, es decir, también podemos operar retrocesos y sacarle un buen partido. Así pues, chicos, vamos a ver cómo interpretan otros traders la liquidez. Yo creo que todo el mundo más o menos a estas alturas sabe lo que es la liquidez, y como siempre un saludito a toda la comunidad. Vamos a ver qué es la liquidez Smart Money Concepts. Vamos a usar YouTube. ¡Hombre! 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 No podía faltar nuestro querido y grandísimo Enrique Morís. Dios mío, este hombre, ¿cuánto dinero se debe dejar en anuncios? Yo siento ya curiosidad algún día saber cuánto se puede estar dejando en anuncios y si le sale a cuenta. La verdad que yo... os juro que he intentado he buscado, no he intentado buscar, he buscado la estrategia de Enrique Morís y no hay forma, tío. No, de verdad que no la encuentro. Bueno, chavales, vamos a ver Smart Money, Concept, liquidez, y vamos a poner los filtros de búsqueda, el que tenga mayor número de visualizaciones. Uy, mira, este es un canal que me gusta mucho, que es The Secret of the Mindset, y es muy bueno, es muy bueno. Yo creo que es el canal más grande de trading. Creo que es el canal más grande de trading con 691.000 suscriptores. Yo creo que es el canal más grande de trading. Vamos a echarle un vistazo porque yo creo que vale la pena conocerlo. Habla de muchísimas estrategias, de muchísimos tips de trading. Lleva muchos años y la verdad que está muy bien este canal. Así que por lo menos vamos a ver el primer vídeo que nos está diciendo aquí: descifré el algoritmo de liquidez y manipulación en el comercio diario. Así que no nos vamos a quedar con la curiosidad y vamos a ver ¿qué nos explica The Secret of the Mindset? Hombre, free training, free training. Enrique, escúchame, Enrique, esto me dirijo a ti. Free training ya te está vacilando por 3 semanas consecutivas. Va en el ranking, va en el número 1, Free Training, antes que tú. Tú nos apareces en una pantallita pequeña, veo tu cara, pero Free Training está que lo da todo. Míralo, con su pizarra, con su camisa, y hay un cartel que pone Beat the Retail No Sense. No sé muy bien qué significa, pero tiene muy buena pinta, ¿eh? Fijaros esta diagonal y hasta un niño podría dibujarlo, ¿no? Me encanta, me encanta. Bueno, chicos, venga, basta. Vamos a ver lo que es la liquidez. Vamos a poner el audio. Vamos a ponerlo grande. Vamos a poner los subtítulos, inglés-español. Ah, ya está puesto. Y vamos a poner la velocidad a 1,5. Uy, 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 eso es un stop loss. The Secret of the Mindset, eso es un stop loss. ¿Qué quieres decir? ¿Que somos retails? ¿Que esto es lo que nos toca vivir? ¡No! Eso es lo que decimos
tends
todos.
to move from structure to structure, squeezing one side of the market participants most of the time. It rewards one side of the market while punishing the opposite side of participants. And liquidity clearouts are constant processes observed on the markets every day. Today we'll talk about liquidity extraction, and you'll finally understand why the market moves against you the moment you enter the market. So if you could, like, subscribe to the channel, and stick around for the full video.
Conoce la
Regardless
profundidad del
of how
mercado.
long you've been trading, at some point, you should have questioned the depth of the market you are trading. In other words, its liquidity. Make no mistake, trading the Euro-US dollar, for example, offers different conditions than trading an instrument like the Canadian dollar versus the New Zealand dollar, or Bitcoin versus Shiba Inu coin, or Tesla versus some random penny stock. Liquidity is the #1 element to make a market functionable and competitive. For a market to be reaching liquidity, there must be an ample participation of both buyers and sellers. This is why it makes sense for the smart money or the market makers to extract the liquidity from the market. Liquidity hunting is a very common practice. It's nothing more than the art of flushing the losing players out of the market, which are known as weak.
Bueno, una cosa que tengo que decir antes de que continuemos, y es que el motor, y esto es verdad lo que está diciendo, el motor, la gasolina de los mercados, sin duda, es la liquidez, no un order block. Yo eso lo tengo claro, no sé qué opináis vosotros, dejármelo en el chat, dejármelo en comentarios, pero lo que tengo claro es que la gasolina del mercado es la liquidez. O sea, un order block no, un order block puede ser un punto de reacción, lo que tú quieras, pero lo que le mete gasolina al mercado, donde más hay una reacción más bestia y más acelerada, es cuando toma liquidez el mercado. O sea, y esto lo tengo claro. Y yo creo que a día de hoy es todavía más importante, no, yo creo que siempre ha sido más importante detectar la liquidez, primero, para no convertirte en liquidez, y segundo, para ejecutar una buena entrada y sacar unos profits, pero así, volando, porque cuando... Y sobre todo, ¿sabéis dónde yo me doy cuenta de esto? Con las Smart Money Tool. Cuando hace un Liquidity Run y hace una Smart Money Tool, por ejemplo, hace una rotura de viejo alto y tienes una divergencia, una Smart Money Tool, una divergencia SMT, el precio hace ¡bimba! Y te pega un gatillazo hasta el otro extremo, pero en cuestión de minutos. En cuestión de minutos y haces una operación brutal. Ahora, yo tengo que confesar que todavía tengo complicaciones en donde situar mi stop loss cuando hace una SMT. Tengo todavía mis complicaciones. Y esto de las confirmaciones, ya hablaremos un día largo y tendido del tema de las confirmaciones, porque cada día a mí, sinceramente, me parece más un cuento chino, ¿vale? Lo siento, pero lo tengo que decir. ¿Vale? El tema de las confirmaciones, el mercado es el mercado y no te confirma nada. Cuando toma, toma. ¿Vale? Os voy a leer, chicos. Salvavigo dice sí, siempre liquida y reacciona. Es así. BSMFX dice, claro, ¿de qué le sirve al algoritmo moverse sin órdenes? A las instituciones les interesa es quitarnos el dinero. Sí, sí, es que está claro. Es que aunque nosotros seamos retails y formemos de una parte muy pequeña del mercado, muchas pequeñas partes del mercado hacen una gran parte del mercado. Y al final, si te quitas de encima mucho retail, tienes motor y gasolina para mover el precio por lo menos ese día. Y es que hay que decir que hay muchos tipos de creadores de mercado y de market makers, porque no solo existen los grandes bancos o las grandes instituciones, es que ya lo vimos en el curso de trading institucional gratuito, que fue la primera clase que di, y creadores de mercado como UPS, que simplemente pueden tener clientes, oye, que no es poco, que igual tienen 500 millones, 800 millones para hacer operaciones diarias, meten, yo que sé, 500 millones para mover el mercado hacia una dirección, tomar liquidez y luego tirarla para la otra. Pero es que luego, igual con esa jugada te han conseguido 50 millones. Y esto lo hace un creador de mercado. Y son clientes que igual es una manipulación diaria. No tiene por qué mover un mercado, ¿vale? Porque igual los grandes bancos, los fondos de inversión, sí que son los que mueven los mercados a largo plazo. Pero te pueden hacer operaciones y manipulaciones intradía. Que nosotros, por eso hay traders intradía. ¿Vale? Que es lo que nosotros intentamos cazar, ese tipo de operaciones, ir en el lado inteligente del mercado. ¿Vale? Lo que pasa es que cuesta mucho estar en el lado inteligente del mercado en corto plazo, y hay que ser muy bueno, y hay que tener mucha experiencia. Pero yo esto lo tengo claro, ¿eh? Habita84 dice, ese Paul, madre mía, hay que trasnochar para verte, Paul, buenas noches, dice Hugo Aguilera 93. Bueno, chavales, seguimos.
Longs or weak shorts. The larger the liquidity zone build-up, the more likely it is for that zone to be targeted by the smart money, especially if it's a counter-trend setup. Often, liquidity clearouts will form
Periquito,
against
Paquito,
the main
mesote.
trend. For example, in an extended bullish trend structure, in a consolidation, you will often see a clearout of highs and a price reversal downwards.
Gracias, Super Pizza.
This is more common in very liquid markets, such as Forex or stocks that trade on strong volume. And why is that? Because smart money knows how retail traders think.
Momentito, Salvavigo dice, yo opero oro e índices y tiene mayor efectividad trabajar con liquidez que order blocks. Y si encima lo complementas con la estructura semanal, pues sí, estoy totalmente de acuerdo. Y gracias por el tip, Salvavigo. Y si alguien tiene algún tip más, pues que lo ponga en comentarios. Pero estoy 100% de acuerdo con Salvavigo. Pero, o sea, no 100%, 200%.
Smart money knows how retail traders use different indicators, moving averages, candlesticks, and chart patterns in their attempt to day trade or scalp the markets. Smart money can easily trap retail traders into the market at poor trade locations, and then move against their positions, stopping them out. They know that retail traders are programmed with the phrase "trend is your friend."
La tendencia
That's
es tu
why many
amiga,
clearouts will be
Va con
formed
fuerza.
against the overall trend direction or against overall retail trader participation.
If you're
Me cago en la leche el
using
free trading.
useless retail trading charts
Eres muy
like
cansino,
this,
tío.
Here's how liquidity is often positioned around structures in the market. Many traders will use these price levels to place their entries or exits at, but more frequently, their exits or stop losses. And these are exactly the zones used by the smart money to trigger a liquidity clearout. Institutional players cannot trade the same as the retail trader because in low liquidity price areas, they might push price too much with large orders. So they use high liquidity zones to put their own large orders in the market without having too much impact on the price. Clearouts of liquidity are frequent in crypto and forex markets because a strong trending market attracts many unexperienced traders who step into margin trading, usually buying around the lows and the highs. Since they are unaware of the trap, it's relatively easy for the market maker to replay the pattern repeatedly, stopping the traders with liquidity clearouts.
Qué bueno, ¿eh? Qué detalle acaba de dar, no sé si lo habéis visto. Gracias, Salvavigo, dice Saludos, profe, me encanta tu libro. Muchas gracias, un besote. Qué gran tip acaba de dar, ¿eh? El tema de las instituciones, aunque utilicéis Smart Money y a veces el tema de operar con precio y volumen, indicadores de, yo qué sé, market profile, volumen, cualquier tipo, deltas, lo que queráis. Lógicamente, como cualquier indicador, los grandes bancos, las grandes instituciones saben que los retail utilizan este tipo de herramientas. Y vamos, si lo utiliza un retail que es un don nadie, cualquier empresa profesional que pueda utilizar otro tipo de indicadores, lógicamente lo que no va a hacer es dejar una pedazo de huella en el mercado. Dejan pequeñas huellas, que es ahí. Yo creo que para mí, sinceramente, y de mi forma de pensar, y quizás soy un total y completo ignorante, porque yo el tema de operar con precio y volumen no lo conozco, pero creo que operar con Smart Money, la acción del precio, bien identificada y como se tiene que interpretar, creo que es suficiente. Creo, ¿eh?
One critical concept for a liquidity clearout is the consistency of structural symmetry. Most targeted clearouts will happen around structures where the price is consistently bouncing from a demand or a support level, or from a resistance or a supply level for multiple times before it actually breaks it. So very important, you should focus only on such structures to identify and trade.
Mira, esta operación, si aquí arriba tiene una Smart Money Tool, es que es de cajón, de cajón. A mí, ¿sabéis dónde me gusta operar las Smart Money Tool? Cuando hay esta liquidez y hace una SMT, cuando vuelve, ¿sabes? Cuando hace velote y vuelve el velote, lo que sería casi un V-pattern, ahí es donde me gusta operarlo.
Liquidity clearouts. The more
Y sitúo el
bounces in the
stop loss en el
structure,
alto.
the better. As time passes, and if price cannot break areas with multiple highs or lows, chances are the liquidity around those price levels will increase with time. The more time it passes, the more the liquidity will increase if major highs and lows don't break. Because of this factor, if you want to trade a liquidity hunt pattern, you should be aware of how time plays a role in consolidating the orders above or under key liquidity zones.
Sí, yo a veces me pasa que me quedo atrapado en operaciones y me salgo en cuanto puedo. Cuando el precio empieza a acumular, 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 aunque esté en un POI, en un order block, lo que sea, y el precio está ahí y empieza a acumular, yo intento salirme. Porque es que no sabes por dónde te va a salir. Te pega un disparo de estos que te deja medio loco con tu gestión, pensando en el stop loss en un lugar, y como lo tengas que mover, igual es un 0,25, lo tienes que mover a un 0,50 y no es suficiente, y allá 0,50, ya más allá empieza a doler muchísimo, ¿no? Yo cuando empiezo a acumular el precio intento salirme lo antes posible. Me gusta operar el precio cuando se mueve, y eso lo aprendí de alguien. Me gusta operar el precio en movimiento.
Now, a clearout is a liquidation event where the stop losses of buyers or sellers are taken out and the breakout traders are trapped in. Liquidity clearout and stop loss hunting are similar concepts. Stop loss hunting can happen around any price or no structure at all, while a liquidity clearout will most of the time happen around dense price structures with multiple bounces. So remember, liquidity clearouts are most common around symmetrical structures where many traders will watch the same price level or place stop losses around the same price level. Therefore, market makers would want to see that level broken and enter their positions while liquidation is taking place and absorb opposite orders. For retail traders like you and me, the aim should be to spot such potential liquidity zones and join the game of the market maker, and to avoid being a liquidity target. A liquidity clearout should always present itself with a rapid, strong reversal move after a critical low or high is taken out. Basically, a
Hostia, cuando veis los gráficos así en pasado, yo siempre, nunca me voy a cansar de decirlo, ¿eh? Qué bonito. Mirad esta, a ver si se aparta la flecha.
rotation of the price back into the structural support
lo
or
comentamos.
resistance. The speed of the
Aquí
rotation
donde
back
está la
will
flecha,
usually depend on the market or the liquidity of the market.
luego el
In
precio
some
baja
markets, the reversal back
y
might
rebota en
take
el
15 or
breaker
30
y va para
minutes,
abajo.
as
Hostia,
the
que
smart money needs to
las ves
collect
así
as
y
many
dices,
orders
hostia,
as possible
qué
over
fácil,
time. While in Forex or crypto,
GRD82 dice, jaja, en backtest se ve todo lindo. Sí, sí, es que en backtest lo ves todo, dices, hostia, es que aquí está esto, está lo otro, está aquello, pero luego... Hugo Aguilera dice, a mí nadie me gana gráfico pasado. Yo un día creo que os voy a poner a muchos de vosotros en plan, analízame un gráfico pasado y vas así de sobrado. Quiero que vayáis así de sobrados. BSMFX dice, por lo mismo, en algún vídeo dice, te asegura que enseñan mal sus conceptos. El Smart Money Concept se convirtió en una especie de chartismo. Dejan fuera las subastas del precio trimestral y mensual y semanal. Su trabajo se fundamenta en soportes y resistencias inteligentes. Sí, es que el Smart Money se convirtió en una especie de chartismo, ya lo creo que sí. Dejan fuera las subastas del precio trimestral y mensual y semanal, su trabajo se fundamenta en soporte y resistencia. Sí, también es cierto, sí. Y no solo las subastas del precio trimestral y mensual y semanal, sino que muchas empresas tienen que rendir cuentas de forma trimestral, mensual y semanal. Entonces, de ahí que yo siempre hable de las mitigaciones mensuales, semanales y diarias. Para mí, yo solo operaría mitigaciones diarias, semanales y mensuales. Yo solo operaría eso. Para mí todo lo demás es ruido y liquidez, lo que hay por el medio. Pero claro, luego haces como Peirote, ¿no? Tiras una operación cada 8 años. Peirote, un saludo.
the reversal will be much quicker on average, between 1 to 15 minutes, since those markets are much more liquid. If the structure is not even on highs or lows positioning, for example, when highs or lows are connected through a trend line instead of a flat line, then the main area to watch is the lowest low or the highest high of the structure. That is where the majority of condensed stop losses will sit, and where breakout traders might initiate other positions. This is the difference between a flat versus a trend line positioning of lows, and the importance of the deepest low. No matter how the structure is positioned, the low of the structure will be the key level that the market maker will want to clear out. And
dejarme ver un momentito. Liquidity, clear out, point of interest. Este es un punto de interés que el creador de mercado querrá eliminar y donde probablemente se asentarán la mayoría de las paradas. Aquí hay una línea de tendencia. El punto de interés está aquí abajo. Liquidity clear out. Vale, liquidity clear out significa que limpieza de la liquidez. Aquí está la liquidez limpia y arriba. Punto de interés, baja, limpia y arriba. Vale, hasta aquí bien.
Where the majority of stops will likely sit. There's a difference.
A ver, espera que Salvavigo dice algo por aquí que me gusta. Un buen tip para tener mayor efectividad es justo entrar minutos antes del horario distributivo complementado con la liquidez y estructura para agarrar más preciso el impulso. A ver si mientras vamos viendo el vídeo me explicas esto del horario distributivo complementado, porque ahora me acabas de dejar loquísimo.
Between a targeted and a non-targeted liquidity clearout, meaning triggered by a market maker or triggered by the overall market action. On the left side, we have a targeted attempt, and on the right, a non-targeted one. The difference between strong, quick moves initiated by the smart money and the move triggered by the overall market action is usually spotted depending on where price starts the actual move, and if that move is consistent. In the case of a targeted attempt, most of these moves will be initiated in the middle of the structure, where not much liquidity sits. Meanwhile, strong moves triggered by the overall market action are usually going to be on very symmetrical and obvious price extremes.
Oye, espera. Me cago en la hostia. Business plan. Venga, fuera. Calla, que acaba de decir algo interesante. Espera un momento. Ahí. Mirad, acaba de decir que el mejor movimiento es cuando se encuentra a mitad del rango, ya que no tiene tanta liquidez que desde aquí. Targeted. Mientras tanto, most of this move will be initiated in the middle of the structure where not much liquidity sits. A strong move is triggered by overall market action are usually going to at obvious price extremes. A ver, quiero repetir esto porque no me ha quedado claro y me parece
Liquidity
muy buen
clear
tip.
out, meaning triggered by a market maker or triggered by the overall market action. On the left side,
En el lado
we have a
izquierdo tenemos un
targeted
intento
attempt,
dirigido y
and
en
on
el
the right,
derecho uno
a
no dirigido.
non-targeted
Dirigido y no dirigido, ¿vale?
one. The difference between strong, quick moves initiated by the smart money and the move triggered by the overall market action is usually spotted depending on where.
Vale, o sea, lo que es un movimiento dirigido, este es dirigido y este es no dirigido, lo cual esto significa que es intencionado el de la izquierda y el de la derecha es un movimiento natural del precio, ¿vale?
Price starts the actual move, and if that move is consistent. In the case of a targeted attempt, most of these moves will be initiated in the middle of the structure, where not much liquidity sits.
Se realizan en mitad de la estructura.
Meanwhile, strong moves triggered by the overall market action are usually going to be on very symmetrical and obvious price extremes.
Interesante, ¿eh? La regla de las
After
10
the
velas.
liquidity clear out under the lows or above the highs, the price should start reversing back inside the structure relatively quickly. Timing is the key. Let's say you're a scalper and you're using the 1-minute chart. My own rule is that it shouldn't take more than 10 1-minute candles for the price to rotate back above support. This depends a lot on how big the structure is, how many candles are in each leg of the structure. The more candles per leg, the longer it might take for the liquidity clear out move to happen. But it shouldn't be more than 10 candles. In the best scenario, it happens within the first 3 to 5 candles. Again, it's a relative concept as it scales with the market and the time frame chosen.
Espera.
The longer it might take for the liquidity clear out move to happen. But it shouldn't be more than 10 candles. In the best scenario, it happens within the first 3 to 5 candles.
El movimiento este de pim pam, máximo 10 velas, que lo normal sean de 3 a 5 velas.
Again, it's a relative concept as it scales with the market and the time frame chosen.
Utiliza
To
alertas.
trade a liquidity clear out, you need a clear plan to find a pattern. Using price alerts is a useful way to support the searching process. The plan is quite simple. Once the potential symmetrical structure is spotted, with variables that fit a potential liquidity clear out, you place an alert below the structural lows or above highs, depending if it's a bull or a bear pattern. This is important because once an alert is placed, you can relax and do other stuff, and only come back once the alert rings and the price clears the required liquidity area. It's an important tip that helped me a lot, using
Oye, está muy bien esto, ¿eh? Que pongáis alertas por encima y por debajo de los viejos altos y bajos, de forma que te suena la alerta, no tienes que estar ahí, corre que te pillo, porque te da tiempo a que acabe de limpiar la liquidez y luego valorar tu entrada. Muy buen tip, me la apunto. Un momentito que por aquí Salva Vigo dice, lo que te decía es que si vos en una Kilson tenés una liquidez de bajos o altos, por ejemplo en el oro, sería la reacción de toma de liquidez y distribución complementando al Open New York y en esos minutos previos al entry para que dejar que manipule tranquilo en Kilson. Pues mira, más o menos lo que acaba de decir aquí el compi de Secret of the Mindset, ¿eh? Más o menos, ponte la alerta, tranquilo, que te va a dar tiempo a que acabe de distribuir o acumular en el horario de Kilson. Para dejar manipular tranquilo el precio cuando esté consolidado. Habita84 dice, eso es lo mismo que hacemos en Order Flow. Ole. Y solo agarrar distribución. Bien, buenos tips estamos sacando aquí en la comunidad, chicos, gracias.
Price alerts is critical to minimize the screen time and to be more patient and fresh as a trader. The key when trading a liquidity hunt is to focus on volume. At the clear out price area, there should be significant volume traded.
Oye, que yo hablo con White Tiger y yo le digo, oye White Tiger, que te voy a sacar un indicador, te lo voy a explicar y te lo publico, ¿vale? Que se lo descarguen de tu web y nunca tiene ningún problema. Es un tío de puta madre, White Tiger. Ya os digo que yo de vez en cuando hablo con él cuando quiero publicar sus indicadores, que son cojonudos, ¿eh? Y soy el primero que yo si alguna página web o un trader vale la pena, lo digo. A mí no me cuesta nada. Venda cursos, venda lo que sea, me da igual. Si vale la pena, vale la pena.
Let's analyze this liquidity clear out pattern. We have a clear downtrend with lower lows and lower highs in the structure. This is our main focus point, the lowest low in the structure. This is where our price alert should be. A drop into the lows will usually be initiated by the market maker with a heavy market order that will remove liquidity and swipe price under the lows. Look at the volume traded in the liquidity hunt. It increased considerably once the lowest low in the structure was taken out.
El volumen, ¿no?
For an entry, you should wait for the liquidity clear out and then for the price to start moving back above support. For a long entry, your risk should be the lowest low of the clear out. This is where your stop loss should be.
Bueno, buen tip. Creo que TradingView tiene indicador de volumen y puede ser buen tip de trading. Cuando toma liquidez por debajo de un bajo, ves el incremento de volumen y dices, hostia, ahí tengo lo que yo buscaba.
Liquidity hunt. We first observe a heavy sell-off ahead of the structure. We then find a symmetrical structure with approximately even lows, ensuring even stop-loss placement under them. High volume on the clear-out with the highest volume candle in the whole structure. Volatility on the market is high, meaning we have a wide range, and we have a sharp and quick reversal after the clear-out and the reclaim of the previous support. So after the liquidity clear-out, an important sign should be the volume.
Mike, tienes razón, chato, me has mandado un montón de vídeos, te prometo, te pido disculpas, te prometo que el próximo día los vemos. Se me pasa porque tengo 100.000 cosas, pero tranquilo que tenemos muchos días por delante, que estos directos va para largo, ¿eh? Gracias, chato.
Volume. The volume traded was the highest 1-minute volume candle inside the whole price structure, as price quickly reclaimed support and then pushed higher. This was a good moment to open a buy position, with a stop loss below the most recent low. A key component for trading the clear-out is that it has to reclaim the support for a long trade, or the resistance for a short trade. If it doesn't reclaim, there is no trade in the first place. It's a breakout. Here's an example with high volume clear-out under the lows, as the long traders are stopped out, but the price didn't reclaim the support level. Thus, this is not a long trade. Remember this important point. The faster the price reclaims support and pushes above after the clear-out, the better the trade. On the best trades, price should reclaim support within the first 5 candles after the clear-out. If the structure is not symmetrical, with evenly positioned lows, it's hard to base the entry. That is why I prefer to trade structures that are clean and symmetrical. This allows precise entry conditions across all trades. Let's look at this asymmetric structure and clear-out. You can observe that the lows are not evenly positioned. We even have some higher lows. This is the deepest lower low, the main area that you should wait for. We have the liquidity clear-out and the quick reversal after the clear-out. But now the question is, where's our entry? This isn't so clear like in a symmetrical structure. That's why I prefer the symmetrical ones. If you found value and learned something new, leave us a like.
Brutal video.
This way we'll know if you'd like to see more videos
Brutal
like this one.
Video de Secret of the Mindset, super like, y se lo voy a poner super like, buenísimo, The Secret of the Mindset, muy buen canal, os voy a enseñar por si no lo conocíais. 691 suscriptores, 91.000 suscriptores y tiene una cantidad de vídeos indecente. Pero cuando digo indecente, es indecente. Últimamente, yo hace ya años que lo sigo. Antiguamente era usaba otro tipo de estrategias, con RSI, con indicadores, de todo, ¿no? Un poquito ha ido explicando. Y últimamente ya ha ido evolucionando más al Smart Money. Ha ido evolucionando mucho al Smart Money. Utilizaba medias móviles, canales, indicadores. Tienes de todo, ¿vale? Es este pavo de aquí, el Secret of the Mindset. Todos los vídeos son así, muy currados, con imágenes, con musiquita, el tío hablando muy pausado. Muy buen canal. Os lo recomiendo que os suscribáis porque vale la pena, ¿ves? Aquí el estocástico te lo enseña. Sí, el tío lleva pues no sé desde cuándo, pero se unió en julio de 2018, solo 4 años. Pues hostia, ya tiene 40 millones de visualizaciones, 691.000 suscriptores, ¿eh? Ojalá algún día llegue yo a un cuarto de lo que tiene este hombre. Pero muy buen canal. Bueno, chavales, vamos a ver más vídeos. La única estrategia de dinero inteligente que necesitarás en Forex. 4 reglas fáciles. IPDA Trader con 32.100 suscriptores. No necesito más. Vamos para allá.
Hello traders and welcome back to my YouTube channel IPDA Trader.
Voz, ¿no?
Now in today's video I will be revealing the only smart money strategy that you will ever need to succeed in the FX market. In order to do so, I've broken the strategy down into 4 simple and easy steps that you can start implementing today and actually make money within the Forex market. Now, each and every single step is very important, and you need to follow exactly what I say in order to make the entire thing work. So with that out of the way, let's actually get started.
Bueno, chavales, necesitamos solo 4 reglas y yo complicándome la vida. Id a Trader, vamos a ver este canal.
Okay, traders, let's actually start breaking the strategy down. Now, I will start by listing the 4 core principles that you will need to follow to make the strategy work. And the 4 principles are the following.
4 principios
the first
básicos.
one is structure. The second one is liquidity. The third one is your POI selection. And the fourth one is your confirmation/trigger. Okay.
Bueno, está bien. Simplificando lo complicado.
So these are the 4 principles, and I will go into in-depth explanation of each and every single one of them so that there is no gaps or confusion, right? So let's actually get started with structure, which is pretty important. So for that, let's draw a potential bullish market. We can all agree this is a market that is pushing up. And let's imagine this structure right here is your...
Bueno, esperar que voy a pasar un poquito más rápido a ver si me va a estar contando lo que siempre cuentan, ¿eh?
And the rule
Voy a
within
poner
structure
ahí
that you need to follow
1,5.
is the following. You need, and this is crucial guys, to wait for the higher time frame and lower time frame to match. Now what do I mean by that? So as we said, this is our 4-hour time frame, and if you zoom into a lower time frame, potentially a 15-minute, 5-minute time frame, what you will find is that within this 4-hour bullish market structure, yes, the lower time frame will be doing something like this, right? Well, you will find that price is pushing up. However, you have quick breaks that then resume the bullish trend, and you may be wondering, well, I sold here and I lost, and that's because your high time frame was bullish and you just went ahead and sold because the lower time frame
a toda hostia,
right? So the lower time frame will be pushing up, and then it will completely switch, right? Maybe continue bullish for a second, but then continue switch, because now the high time frame is retracing, and until the 4-hour retracement is done, the lower time frame will not shift. So your job within structure is to actually catch the end of those retracements and ride the impulsive continuations back up, right? Your job will be to execute on this area.
Como me digas en esos puntos, hay un change of character.
So you will then wait for the
Me vas a explicar lo que dicen todo el mundo.
And that's where you are going to execute to potentially retest the highs, which is going to be a very high probability setup, or depending on how you manage, you can actually say, okay, we made a high, we potentially have a higher low here. I'm confident in holding to a potential new higher high. So yeah, that's in regards to structure, and do not worry, I will be giving charts examples in a second, but I hope, right, you don't need to worry or stress about the idea of catching the very bottom. This was just to illustrate the principle that you need to keep in mind when looking at structure, yes? So let's actually continue. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got a low, we've got a high. This actually breaks structure because we clear all this becomes your new high, and then as you can see, price slowly retraces, right? Shifts bearish during the retracement, as I've been telling you all the time. That means that the 15-minute, potentially the 5-minute is going to be extremely bearish at the time, and then you hit the end of the retracement, which in this case does come to the origin of the swing and continues higher. So that was everything in regards to structure, and let's now continue with the second rule, which is going to be your POI selection. So let's go back to the drawing board and continue with the remaining of the rules. So let me clear all this. And I know I said before that the second rule was liquidity, but we're going to do liquidity and POI at the same time because I think that will provide you a much better understanding of the concepts and the ideas behind the strategy. So POI stands for point of interest, and liquidity, I just previously made a video on liquidity, so if you do not understand that, you can always go back to the video. But let me give you the rule for this specific strategy. The rule is the following.
Mitigación y liquidez, yo le llamo así.
You need liquidity to be wrapped into POI, right? You need some sort of liquidity. Any liquidity.
Obviamente necesitas liquidez, necesitas el motor, ¿no? Una dirección.
But any type of liquidity, just ignore all this previous stuff. We're just going to be focusing on this, right? So you have a low, you have a high that breaks structure right here. So this is an impulse, right? This is your bullish structure, and you're waiting for the retracement now. The POIs you can use within this impulsive leg, as I said, must be below the 61% retracement. So for that, you can always grab your FIP. You can draw it from the bottom to the top, and any POI, right? So when price is below this area, from here to here is where you can frame your POIs, right? Anywhere above it, you're not looking for buys. Why? Because the probability of price continuing in deeper retracements is there, and you don't want to get caught into that, right? So that's pretty much it for POIs, right? You need price to retrace at least 61% for your POI. Now, you will probably have the scenario, you have multiple POIs. As you can see, we have one here and one here. So what you would do is actually draw all your potential POIs below the 61% retracement. That's pretty important. And then you're going to wait, right? So that's in regards to POI. Wait for price to retrace at least 61%. And that's how you're going to get the high information or trigger this multiple has not done the 61% retracement, just like in this case, where price barely retraced the continuum high.
Bueno,
And you miss
hasta
a trade,
ahora
and you
nada
trust it,
que
and
no
you're not going
sepamos,
to
pero
FOMO
bueno.
into a trade here, there, and there, right? Because that's only going to get you hurt. So it's pretty important that you wait for your confirmations only inside your point of interest, which means once price reaches your point of interest, then you can look lower time frames to potentially catch the confirmation.
Low
And
time
the
frame,
confirmation I'm going to
change
show
of
you now
character,
is pretty powerful. Works
shock.
very well if you have structure right, liquidity grabs. If the impulse move has been retraced more than 61%, then your confirmation is going to be powerful. So let me actually give you an example of a confirmation, right? So let's imagine you have, let me get this back. You have a bullish structure like this, and you're waiting for your POI right below the 61%, right? Any POI inside the region would be valid, and price, whoops, we delete this, price comes back down. And for your confirmation rule, what you will need to do is look and zoom into lower time frames to see the price action developing inside your POI, okay? So one of the confirmation rule I will give you here is the following. You will need some sort of liquidity creation in form, for example, of consolidation, a liquidity grab, and a break of market structure. That's going to be your best confirmation.
Una MD, ¿no?
I've been doing this for a very long time.
Ya está, ya lo
This is what
tenemos.
exactly works.
El
You need to wait
change of
for the
character.
market to engineer liquidity.
Esta es la
while
confirmación
it's
de
in your
toda la
POI.
vida.
You need to wait just above it without touching it and then grabbing it, and then you get the break. That would be also valid. Yes. So liquidity engineered within your POI or very close to it, and a break of market structure. That's going to be one of the best confirmations I can give you here on YouTube for free. You're going to wait for price to reach your POI with all the rules I gave you before. You're going to wait for the market to engineer liquidity, which could be in form of consolidation and in the form of potential equal
Bueno, el
lows,
detalle de la
right?
consideración, el AMD está muy bien,
Then,
que es lo que
yeah,
os
that's pretty
dije
much
el
it.
otro día,
You
me
need to wait
gustó
for your
mucho ese
confirmation,
concepto
which is the grab of liquidity
y
within
yo
your
lo voy a
POI and the break of market
tomar
structure.
más en
So
cuenta
now
a
that you
partir de
understand the
ahora.
4 different principles of the strategy, let's go back to the charts and let me give you a quick breakdown of how it would look when you put everything together. And for that, I'm going to walk you through one of the trades that I took last week, just following the 4 principles, right? It was on EU. So we're now looking at Euro USD. And if we look at structure, right, your rule number 1 is your structure is
Vale,
bullish,
me
right?
está
And that, hey, any
explicando...
POI above the 61% retracement is valid for me to look for sales, because structurally we just made a new low and all we're doing is retracing to create that new lower high to potentially continue lower, right? So let's play price. And as you can see, I had this POI mark at the time because this is a POI that is above the 61% retracement, so that's a valid POI. So continue. Let's see what happens here. And as you can see, price comes to our POI. This is the moment where you would look into the lower time frames for your confirmation rule, right? But as you can see, we've grabbed liquidity on the way up, created the low, and now we're retracing. So your structure rule is met, your liquidity rule is met, your POI rule is met because we are above the 61%, and now all is missing for you to execute your position would be that confirmation trigger. So let's see how price develops inside this price action. So okay, we're watching price. Price hits the POI, and let's continue watching. Price plays within our POI. We're not executing yet, and as you can see, price comes back up. There we go. We can see here that we just created liquidity, right, in form of this consolidation. We just spiked above the high, as you can see. We should be spiking above the high. There we go. We spike above it. With this wick right here, we clear all this liquidity, which means that now the liquidity factor of your confirmation is valid, and all you need to do is wait for that break in market structure. Now, it could get confusing because you may ask yourself, well, why do I use this or this as a break in market structure? And the answer is this, because this is the true origin of the swing. So you would wait for this low to be breached. And once you get that low breach, we can continue. So you don't have to execute here. You just need to wait. So let me speed this up. Price breaks below it. Now we're valid to look for sales. Why? Because structurally we're bearish. We're at the end of the retracement potentially because this is the lower high, and if they want to continue making money selling, they won't break above this high. And the lower time frame has officially shifted. We have a shift in the lower time frame market structure. So all you need to do is wait for the origin over here. I would wait for a POI somewhere in here, and I would place a sell limit with your stop loss just above the highs, and you can target way lower because you know we're bearish and we should be making new lows, right? So let's see what happens here. Price continues, plays around, essentially is creating more liquidity with these movements up and down. And as you can see, whoops, price comes back up, taps you in, right? All your rules are valid, so you can take the trade, and let's see what happens. Price plays around for a bit. Let me copy this, just so we don't lose this, and drag it over because it's getting too big. Just like that. And price continues to melt. And all you did in order to catch this trade was follow the 4 simple rules I just gave you, right? We had bearish
Bueno,
structure,
movimientos perfectos, ¿no?
we have a
Vale,
valid POI
chicos,
because it's
bueno.
above the 60.18%.
No está mal, bien explicado. Le doy mi like, pero no le pongo comentario, ¿eh? Saludos a Tiel, ¿cómo estás, chato? Bueno, vamos a ver un vídeo más, chavales, y con esto terminamos. Alguno que me guste. The Secret of the Mindset me ha gustado más, este de Mentor FX, 109.000 suscriptores, creo que ya lo hemos visto. ¿Cómo elegir el bloque de pedido correcto? Concepto de dinero inteligente. Nada, order blocks te los vendo, te los dejo a ti. Su broker le prohibirá por saber esto. Conceptos de liquidez, volumen 2, flujo de órdenes. Smart Money Source. ¿Os suena que lo hemos visto este? Track FX 74.000. Este no me suena. Este no me suena. Venga, va. Vamos a ver el último vídeo. Track FX. Virgen Santa, free training. Es peor que Enrique, ¿eh? Chavales, peor que Enrique. Free training. Lo tenemos aquí otra vez. La
And you
trendline
somehow
es tu
think that it's
enemiga.
going to make you a professional
Operas
trader.
con esto,
Joining
eres un
up two
pringado.
dots.
Vas a morir en los mercados. Te lo dice Free Training.
Be honest with yourself for a moment.
Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome
Yo,
back to
yo,
another
yo,
video.
hey,
Today's
yo,
video is
hey,
gonna be
bro.
on the Asia highs and
Ha,
lows
yippee-yi,
manipulation
yo.
strategy. Now, before I get into, the details of what I'm gonna be
Hostia, qué
going
flow
over
tiene
and all
este
that
pavo,
stuff,
¿no?
I just want to give a quick apology for not uploading in the last month.
Bueno,
I'm
bueno,
not sure
bueno,
if you guys have
vamos a
heard,
ponerlo,
on my
vamos a
Instagram, I
ponerlo
updated it. I was actually
rápido,
on vacation for the last week and a
porque
half,
espero que no me
like
cuentes
that.
lo de
I
siempre.
didn't have my laptop, my setup. All I had was my phone. I didn't bring any electronics other than my phone. I was just trying to have a mental detox of electronics and social media and all that. So, forgive me for not uploading. But yeah, daily or not daily, but weekly.
habla de
uploads are gonna be happening, so
desintoxicación.
stay tuned for that. And yeah, let's get straight into this video. So, what is Asia highs and lows? What even is Asia? We all know that there's about 4 sessions in the Forex market. There's London, there's New York, there's Asia. Or sorry, there's 3. There's London, New York, Asia. These are the 3 main sessions that are traded within Forex. Now, obviously, the time of your time zone differs.
Bueno, voy a pasar en modo ultra rápido porque me está hablando de sesiones de trading, ¿eh?
With New York at like 8 a.m., something like that.
Nosotros estamos ya, pero mucho más allá.
Basically, when price action is playing out, the market is consolidating or
I know.
whatever. It's doing
Otra tendencia.
being printed out and printed and printed. As soon as Asia session opens, the price action that happened within Asia open to Asia close is the most important part of what's going to happen in the next day. So we all know that the market has 3 phases. We know that the phases are manipulation, which is the consolidation. There's the expansion where the market is going up like this, and then it's where the market reverses. So we have manipulation, expansion, and then reverse. So reverse is basically when the market is trending one way, but then it goes all the way down. Now, what's going to happen is the price action that happens within Asia session. This is what's going to tell us what's going to happen. Is price going to expand? Is it going to reverse? What is it going to do? So before price action does any of those, make those big moves, what we have to do is we have to identify and investigate what's happening inside of Asia session. And until the highs and the lows of Asia sessions both get taken out, that's when the market is going to make that big move. Now, I'll show you guys a couple examples, but let me show you a theoretical example of what I mean. Now, let's assume that this is all Asia session. All this price action from this point to this point is only Asia session price action, and anything before it was New York, London, whatever, we can ignore that. Now, this price action from the time range of here and here, what we have to do is we have to draw out the highest point of the market. The highest price or the highest point price has been within Asia session, and the lowest point price has been inside of Asia session. So what this is actually doing is you're basically mapping out the liquidity within Asia session.
Está hablando de la sesión asiática, cosa que ya la conocemos, ¿vale? Ja. Espera, espera que la conocemos de
As soon
sobra.
as price action breaks above this point right here, this swing high, a bunch of buyers, retail traders are getting triggered in for the buy right away because they're assuming that as soon as price action breaks this, the candle gives you that breakout, the market is just going to continue up bullish from there. It's just going to continue bullish, and vice versa for the sell. If the market is selling off or doing something like this, what a bunch of retail traders are going to be doing is they're going to say, okay, the next time the market ends up selling off and breaks this point, I'm going to be entering with a sell stop right away. And a perfect example is right here. When we do create these lower lows, lower highs, what happens every time we do break these lows, the market sells off right here, sells off again. But we all know that there's an objective and there's a time limit for everything. It's not like the market is going to continue selling off forever. It has a time limit and it has an objective. So think of the market as a GPS. When you're driving somewhere, you put in a location and you're going to make the left turns, the right turns. You're going to make the specific turns to get to your location. The market is doing the same thing. The market is selling off right now, but only because it has a location it wants to get to. Now that location could be over here, could be over here. That's subjective to the pair and what the market condition is like. But for the theoretical example, let's say the market just wanted to come towards this little line right here. Now let me just make this nice. All right, boom. So let's say this is the line that the market wants to come to. So as soon as it comes, retail traders are entering every time the market breaks out. Every single time we do see these breakout, the retail traders are entering with those sell stops. Now at one point, the market is going to reach its objective. Now once it's reached its objective and its location, what's going to happen? Well, the retail trader isn't going to be thinking, okay, now the market has entered a strong order block. What they're going to be thinking is, okay, price broke out once again, I'm going to enter. Now this time when they enter, what's going to happen is the market is going to reverse. Now this is what we're not ready for. This is the type of price action and manipulation that most traders don't really know what to do in these situations. When you see a big move up, are you going to be thinking, oh snap, maybe I wasn't supposed to sell here, maybe I'm supposed to sell here, maybe I'm supposed to sell here, maybe I'm supposed to sell here. The reason we get caught on the wrong side of the market is because we're too focused on the price action that's towards our left and we're not looking towards our right on what's happening now. Now as we all know, it's really important to look at the past. I don't care what ICT says or any single Forex guru. The past is just as important as the future, but you need to know how to implement the past and the future, right? You need to know how to implement these two things. You have to, differentiate between when to use the past and when to use the future. Because if the market is, let's say, right over here, let's say, this price action didn't happen, price is just over here, and I look towards my left and I don't see any candles, I don't see any, order blocks or demand zones, I can say, all right, the market's going to continue going bearish. But as soon as I, find an order block, let's say right over here, I'm like, oh, price entered the order block. Now I can assume that price action is ready to stop going down and the phase is possibly going to change, and I can look for my confirmation. So now we identify that the Asia range is extremely important. So now before the market makes a big move, what's going to happen is we have to take out the Asia highs and the Asia lows. Now I don't know exactly why, because obviously the market makers have their own algorithm, they have their own, not strategy, but their own little robotic algorithm that trades for them. So I can't exactly tell you why the Asia highs and lows are extremely important. But what I do know is that this session on GBP pairs, this is the time where you do not want to trade. Asia session in itself, you do not want to trade because there tends to be low volatility, low volume. The market isn't really moving in this time.
Llevamos 7 minutos y solo he escuchado paja. No sé si tenéis la misma sensación, ¿eh? Pero llevamos 7 minutos de vídeo y solo he escuchado paja.
That's really happening. The market is consolidating or price is really slowly moving up in like a choppy way. Now, what's going to happen?
Oye, escúchame. Voy a tirar para adelante, ¿eh?
Position. Now let me actually go over real candlesticks now because obviously theoretically it's easier to say than actually do. Now I'm on XAU USD. This works on all pairs. You can use it on gold, USD JPY, USD CAD. It tends to work better on Asia pairs, but it works good on GBP pairs as well. Now while we're on gold, what do you notice? What do you notice within this price action right here? Now let's start all the way over here. Let me go back and read them all the way back down over here. Actually, matter of fact, let me go even farther because this is a perfect example. So boom, we're looking at gold right now, and we can see that gold is obviously moving in an uptrend in the moment, right? From the micro perspective, we can see that the smaller time frame perspective is that gold is moving up. Now you could argue that okay, the daily is bearish.
A ver, voy a bajar a velocidad porque A ver si esto es más interesante lo que va a
whatever, but
explicar.
we're going to stick to the 4-hour time frame for now. Now, the 4-hour time frame is telling me that yes, gold is moving bullish right now. It's in a bullish 1, 2, 3 higher, high, higher, low trend. And what we can see is that there is a clean institutional candle right over here. Now, there's a clean institutional candle right here. Let me go down to the 1 hour, and boom. Now we're on the 1 hour time frame. Now look, you can get the sessions indicator, just type in sessions, whatever. You type in sessions indicator right here. I'll leave it in the description below. But yeah, so we can see that all this price action over here, this is Asia session, blue, this is all Asia session. Now we have an institutional candle right over here. We want to see price action get tapped into this IC candle, and then we want to see obviously a nice reaction towards the upside. But what do we have? First, we have the Asia lows right here that needs to get taken out. And as you can see, it did get taken out. We took out the lows with this small wick in London. Now what's left is the highs. So after we did take out the lows, we know that the market has to rally above the highs to take it out. And what's good about that is that we have an institutional candle resting below. We have an IC candle right over here that needs to get tapped into. And since we know that price action has to go up to take out the Asia session highs over here, we know that it has to use something to go up. It has to find that breaking point where the market uses it as a trampoline. And this is that breaking point. This is where the market had this major move. It created an order block on the higher time frames. It's untested, and price is now coming inside of it to take out the highs right here. So let's actually take a look at what ends up happening. Let me go back to the 1 hour and let's play this out. Now look at exactly what ends up happening. Price taps into this point of interest. Now obviously you could look for your confirmation, you could look for whatever, right? But the thing is, the reason you would enter this buy is because we took out the Asia lows right here. Because the Asia lows got taken out, right? Now all these traders are getting entered in for sell stops. They're getting entered for sells while we're looking to actually catch the buy to take out the liquidity over here. Just as we see equal highs when we are in a trade, right? Let's say I bought right here. Let's say I'm gonna buy opportunity and I buy right over here, right? Where am I gonna target? Well, I'm gonna target where there's equal lows because I know that there's liquidity there. So I'm gonna say, okay, my target is I don't know why my indicator is a little off. It's supposed to be here, but we have our Asia session low right over here, and then we have our Asia session high right over here. Now this is the range. Now we're not looking to buy or sell or do anything until one of these gets taken out first. So for example, if the sell stops get taken, or sorry, if the buy stops get taken out first, I'm not gonna sell right away because I know price has to take trend. We have these lower lows, lower highs being made, right? These lower lows, lower highs. But then the market breaks out of it. So this entire trend direction right here was really just a manipulation and a liquidity trap to trap the people that are going against the trend. Because yes, you could definitely trade against the trend, but at one point you're gonna be stuck on the smaller time frames and you're gonna see this. You're gonna say, okay, yeah, price is gonna continue down, but look, boom, the market reverses. So before you do get implemented, or before you get into a trade, you want to make sure that the market is taking out the Asia lows and highs because this is a strong point of the market. This is where the market is gonna, give you those big moves. And look at what.
Vale, yo creo que en resumen lo que estoy entendiendo, que creo que se enrolla mucho, que te interesa antes de entrar en un mercado que se liquiden los bajos o los altos de Asia. Que antes de operar, o sea, que no operar dentro del mercado, del rango asiático, por lo menos lo que yo estoy entendiendo. Que esto es algo que yo ya vengo y que creo que todos sabemos y yo vengo diciendo hace muchísimo tiempo. Vamos, creo que la conclusión que está hablando es esto de mercado asiático, que si la liquidez, que si el POI y tal, y no operar sin que tome la liquidez de los mercados asiáticos. Pero
at this
vamos,
point,
esto...
I'm trying to find an institutional candle. I'm trying to find that mediocre point, that point where the market can, use it as a trampoline. But because we are selling, obviously not a trampoline, we're supposed to use this as like a, I don't know what would you call it, like a ceiling or something like this. Now, I have two session lows right over here. So it's really just a war of liquidity in which area.
Mira, ¿sabes qué? Me marea, tío. Lo siento. No te doy ni like ni dislike. Simplemente no me ha convencido, tío. No me ha convencido. Mira, Liquidity Inducement. Esto lo vimos el otro día. Liquidity Secrets. Cómo operar en contra de la tendencia. La estructura de mercado es difícil hasta que encontré esto. How to spot liquidity. Cómo detectar la liquidez conceptos de dinero inteligente para principiantes Forex. No, nosotros ya somos avanzado. Track FX. Uy, no, este tío marea mucho, Morning, Weekly, Daily, Hourly, 1 Minute. El último vídeo de análisis de arriba de abajo que necesita rangos de liquidez. La estructura de mercado, conceptos de dinero inteligente. Comprender la liquidez en Forex, conceptos de dinero inteligente. Eat the Trader. Creo que este es uno de los que hemos visto antes, que estaba bastante bien. Que bueno, que no estaba mal, que explicaba bien. No me ha disgustado. Pero... nada, de los que tienen más visualizaciones, este lo vimos el otro día, que tampoco me gustó. Y así de los que tienen más visualizaciones, pues ya digo, hemos visto creo que 3. Este y este otro. Y este, a ver cómo va este. Este no me mola nada. Este ya lo he visto otras veces y también mucha paja. Liquid Strategy Session Track FX con el indicador de Diamond Capital. Only 3 types of liquidity you need to know. Este podría estar bien, pero... la verdad, muchachos, la verdad, que creo y tengo la sensación, tengo Por aquí me dice Bulto, se me busca alguno de Alex Flamas para ver si tiene algo de liquidez. Un día analizaremos el canal de Alex Flamas. Muy bueno, ha sacado un vídeo nuevo. Os recomiendo verlo, de una entrada que hizo en el eurodólar en 5 minutos. Bien explicada como siempre. Alex Flamas lo explica muy bien, me gusta mucho este chico. Si algún día me ves, te mando un besote, Alex. Desde aquí te queremos mucho. No te tomes a mal que te analicemos los canales, porque desde aquí yo... pocos canales critico, pocos. Si alguno me suena un poco a paja, pues lo digo, ¿vale? Así de claro, si no hay nada nuevo, pues digo, bueno, ¿hay paja o no hay nada nuevo? Punto. Y si hay algo nuevo, pues que nos interese, y el tuyo precisamente es uno de los que nos gusta. Pues bueno, lo dicho, chavales, la verdad que un poquito lo de siempre. Smart Money, vemos ya últimamente, creo que es ver más de lo mismo, nos pasó con el Change of Character, nos pasó con el Inducement. Aparte de un par de cositas ni nuevas, yo creo que como mucho aprendí de Alex Flamas lo de la AMD. El segundo vídeo que hemos visto, buen tip de nuevo, comentan lo de la AMD una vez alcanza el POI y esperar a un Change of Character. Bastante bien simplificado. De los 3 vídeos que hemos visto, los 2 primeros me han gustado. Este último para mí me suena a mucha paja, la verdad. Da muchas vueltas en 30 minutos para explicar el tema del rango asiático, que yo lo explico en 2 minutos en todos mis directos. Y poco más que decir. Chicos, yo siempre os digo, si tenéis canales que valen la pena, escribirme al privado, o si podéis al correo electrónico tradingforexsp@gmail.com y me mandáis los canales allí. Mucho mejor que al Telegram o al privado, o al Telegram privado mío, que me escribís muchos al personal mío. Porque en el Telegram tengo 50.000 mensajes y al final ya no doy abasto. Pero en el correo electrónico me lo dejo en la bandeja de entrada como pendientes, me lo pongo en mi carpetita como futuros vídeos para ver, y ahí lo tengo ordenadito y de ahí no se mueve, ¿vale, chavales? Así que nada, hoy, ¿qué es la liquidez? Más de lo mismo, a un par de cositas así interesantes que hemos podido ver, y nos vemos en los próximos vídeos. Chao, chao, feliz trading.